Welcome back to another episode of the Chaos Chronicles.
Navigating the randomness.
I'm Jess.
I'm Connie.
And this week we're going to be talking about toxic relationships.
There's a lot in this episode. So trigger warning if you are, someone who has experienced toxic relationships. This is going to be covering some sensitive topics. So just something to be aware of if you want to skip this episode. But before we jump into that, let's start with something a little lighthearted and quite literally light. We're doing a first impressions of
Zevia cream soda.
Yeah, so it's flavored with stevia, no natural colors.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think the ingredients was only like 4 things, to be honest. And I could pronounce all of them.
Yeah, that's quite literally a miracle.
Yeah. Not on my reading, but on ingredient-wise. I mean, depending on the day, yes.
Depending on how late at night it is, yeah.
Or
I
early.
become illiterate.
Or early.
Yes.
Or like 2 o'clock in the afternoon, after lunch and like you're tired. Yeah.
Anywho.
On that note.
Cheers.
First impression. Cheers.
It's actually pretty good.
It straight up tastes like a cream soda.
It does.
Like actual cream.
But it's not like the in-your-face cream soda, like the A&W cream soda. Mm-hmm. It actually tastes like a refreshing, not sugar overload.
It is refreshing. Because, it's got the vanilla, it's got the cream, but it doesn't have that sugar rush with it.
It's also not as carbonated.
Yeah, I was noticing that.
Yeah. It has a little bit, but not like the, go up your nose.
And bubbles and no. That's very interesting.
Pretty good. Pretty good pickup.
Pretty good. Yeah, no, I would try that again. And now it's just going to be interesting to see, how we feel drinking it. Because sometimes when it's got, the stevia and the not natural sugars, sometimes that can give, headaches or sugar crashes. But fingers crossed. Wow, there's so much dog hair on my hands and now on this. Shocker. Where'd the dog hair come from? Pick a dog, any dog. Wish you could see Ruby's asleep with a ball in her mouth. Tennis ball.
Just quite literally passed out.
Just can't. But before recording, her and Zeus were having zoomies in the backyard. Yeah, I'm talking about you.
Grumbly.
Old man grumbles.
They did have a lot of fun.
They do. No. Which they have actually been along for the ride with toxic relationships too.
Yes, they have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Ruby is a character in one of these stories, and you'll root for her. She's good.
She is good.
Mm-hmm.
She is good. And that was when I first got her, and that was this is my dog. That was what solidified, this is my dog.
Yeah.
So, I guess beginning out just by defining what toxic relationships are.
Mm-hmm.
This definition, I'm just going to read off of my laptop here that's in front of me. Basically, I found several different sources. Depending on where you're looking, it can be defined as many different things. But ultimately, it's characterized by about 10 different things. So control or domination, manipulation, lack of respect, verbal abuse, isolation, gaslighting, emotional abuse, and sometimes physical abuse. An imbalance of power, pattern repetition, difficulty ending the relationship. And I think that last one is one of the big ones. Ending the relationship is definitely difficult. And from the outside perspective, it's why wouldn't you just end it? But it's a lot different when you're actually in that situation.
It definitely is. I know we've talked about how there are studies talking about how toxic relationships, they actually mimic addiction in the brain of the people in the relationship itself, because you have those high highs where you are being treated or you're treating the other person phenomenally. It is Disney princess. It is amazing.
Yep.
And then it comes with really deep lows.
Yep. Absolutely.
But you remember the highs.
Yeah. And you just crave those highs. You're like, if I can just get through this, then it'll be better. If I just stop doing this, it'll be better. If I stop talking to this person, it'll be better. But then that's where you get into that, well, now you isolated yourself, which is something that I've been through. It's a very hard time. And like, you were in my life, you were my best friend at the time, and you had no idea that it was happening either.
No, because one of the things with toxic relationships, it's not always apparent to people on the outside. Mm-hmm. In fact, the perpetrator, regardless of, guy, girl, other, we're just going to say the abuser, they are a master at putting on a facade, making sure that the only image outsiders have of the two of you as a couple is the one that they have crafted and created. Mm-hmm. And even if there are moments where it's like, oh, that was kind of weird, you don't have enough, insight to know, like, oh, that was part of this.
Yeah.
Until later when everything comes out and you're like, oh.
And all the pieces come together.
Mm-hmm. And then you're like, oh, that's a real son of a bitch.
Or the people that do see through it, the perpetrator gets you to see them in a light that you end up cutting that person out of your life. Mm-hmm. So those people that could speak up, they just get them out of your life as soon as they can.
Mm-hmm. That's part of the control and the manipulation.
Absolutely.
Which that was something that, if you're comfortable sharing.
Absolutely, yep. We're going to be sharing a lot here.
Yeah.
We're going to be going deep.
Yeah, no. Her ex, I call him Ass Face McGee, Fuckface. Mm-hmm. There's a list of names, so I'm just going to call him DP for dipshit. So
that works.
Yeah. DP have been really good at figuring out those people that you had a really close connection with. Mm-hmm. And like you said, manipulating you to, oh, well, they're doing this because they think of you this way and, blah, 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 blah. And so he separated you from pretty much every major relationship in your life. Mm-hmm.
The only person that he, left alone was the two of us. And I think the only reason that he did that was because there's no way I would have let that fly. Or you would have let that fly. No. You would have been like, hey, come over. We're talking now.
Yeah.
This is, we're having an intervention. So that would have been his big, game over situation.
Yeah. Which is also another part of the isolation that he was making you feel is, and I hope I never did this, but the face that he put on around me, I was like, okay, he's very social, he's actually engaged with me, this is really interesting. Mm-hmm. When you and I hang out at my place, my boyfriend isn't this engaged with us, and my roommate's boyfriends, they're not that engaged all the time. They can be, but this is pretty consistent. He always wants to be with us if mm-hmm. we're at your house. Yeah. Which I was kind of like, okay, that's different, but okay. Mm-hmm. So when I started finding out everything he was doing, of course I believe you. But it was like, oh my God. He completely presented a different face. So I can totally see that if someone knew him more than they knew you, yeah, and he started, and you came out and said what he did, I can understand if someone would have been like, oh, well, that doesn't seem like the, dipshit that I know. Yep. And that pisses me off.
Oh, if I went to any of his, any of his friends or family, and even said, this is half of what he did, they'd be like, no, you're just making up stories. There is no way that any of them would believe any word that came out of my mouth.
Mm-hmm. He was a very good manipulator, and that is the only relatively positive thing that I can say about him.
Yeah. Well, before we deep dive into that, let's take a step back and kind of just talk about each of those big top 10 defining characteristics of toxic traits. So starting with that control and domination, So one of the partners will try to control or dominate the other's thoughts, actions, and even your own decisions. This can be something like who they spend time with, what they can do, or where they can go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that one is common. And even if you are able to go and hang out with someone who's been deemed appropriate in the eyes of the abuser, there's still the have your location shared, check in via Snap, check in via text, whatever it is. Like, it is constant. You don't get a full break.
Yeah. Like, I even sometimes, I mean, I can kind of laugh at it now because I'm out of it. I'm in a great relationship, love my husband. But on Snapchat, I have random Snapchat memories that come up of me and you at a restaurant getting lunch. And we would always start, as soon as we got our food, we would take a Snapchat of the other person taking a Snapchat of us with the food. But the only reason that I was doing that was proof to him that I was with her and not with someone else.
Yep. No, and that is a big one. And it can seem at first of like, they're just worried. They want to make sure you get there. They're checking in. They're protective. There's a massive difference between being protective and being controlling.
Oh, absolutely.
Huge.
Yep.
Huge, huge, huge. And it actually comes down to, honestly, lack of respect, which is one of the 10 things there. Mm-hmm. Whereas protective, you can be protective but still have respect for somebody.
Absolutely.
You cannot be controlling and manipulative and have respect for somebody.
No.
You can't.
No.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, basically the lack of respect, definition is consistent lack of respect of boundaries, opinions, individuality, disregarding the other person's feelings or even belittling them.
Oh, yes. No, and that one, as soon as you see that in any relationship, if you are being belittled by your significant other,
don't stand for it.
Don't stand for it. That's either A, have a massive conversation of like, dude or chick, do you recognize that what you just did was belittling? I don't know if you know that, because some people truly do not recognize.
No, some people
they're belittling.
Yeah.
Belittling.
Belittling.
They don't. But the difference also comes into, you start crossing into toxic when you make these boundaries, when you have these conversations and you say, hey, when you do this, I feel this. Mm-hmm. And if your partner's response is to belittle you further or to continue their actions, that's when you start getting into the realm of toxic, which there's different levels for everything.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. The next one of the 10, we can go into manipulation. Mm-hmm. So one partner will use tactics to influence or control the other's behavior, emotion, or perceptions. This can include guilt tripping, gaslighting, or mind games in order to gain advantages. Which I know that sounds bizarre if people have never been in this situation. It doesn't happen all at once. No. It is so slow, you don't even know what's happening.
Mm-hmm. And that is the scary thing, because everyone thinks of, gaslighting as a buzzword that's just thrown around by everyone. True gaslighting is just as you said, it is slow. It is with purpose. Mm-hmm. It's repetitive.
Yeah.
And it's with an end goal to have more control over the one who is suffering the abuse.
I remember that there was a lot of times during this time, and I have coworkers that would be able to call, and who have called me out on it, but like certain things happen, and like they see certain things happen, but my ex was able to manipulate me by like, even though I was there, my friend was there, he would change the whole story, and now I'm like, I don't even know what happened. Which sounds so weird to say that out loud, but like there are so many moments that I can think of, and there are like 4 different stories in my head. But it was just one time, but there are like 4 different stories, and I have no idea which one actually happened.
Oh, yeah. No, because when they get into that gaslighting, which is another one of those 10 categories of things in a toxic relationship, it is defined as making someone doubt their own reality or perceptions. Manipulators might deny their actions, distort the truth, or make the victim question their own memory and sanity. Which, if you've never been around someone who is toxic in a toxic relationship, if you've never been around gaslighting, that sounds like insane in a way, because it's like, what do you mean? I know what happened.
Yeah.
But when you have someone who you are, you love, you trust, an authority figure that you look up to, whatever it may be, if they start telling you, no, that's not how that happened. No, that's not how that happened. Like, if it's so genuine, as master manipulators will do, the human psyche is programmed to start doubting that. Like, you don't cling hard to that.
Yeah. There are a lot of memories that just probably aren't even true in my head. It probably didn't even happen that way. It's just the stories were told to me so many times that that became my reality. And you see things through the rose-colored glasses or something. When you're wearing them, you can't see the red flags because it's all the same.
Yep, red flags just look like flags when you wear rose-colored glasses.
That's what it is. Thank you. Yeah. So and it's very subtle, very, very subtle until it's not.
And that's where things can get into the emotional and physical abuse, when those other tactics of the lack of respect, the manipulation, the control, the gaslighting, the isolation, if that is not allowing the abuser to have all the control that they want, then we can start getting more into the emotional and, unfortunately, the physical abuse. And this is where people start to commonly accept that a relationship is truly a toxic relationship situation when it can be classified as domestic violence.
Yep.
But the reality is there's so much more that goes into it before you're at that point.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I do want to just throw in here, I was never physically abused.
No, threats of violence were directed in your general vicinity, but not on you.
Correct. Yeah. So the threats was as far as it went, luckily.
Yeah.
But I want to say that the emotional abuse didn't start until probably a little after we moved in together. So I don't even know how long we were together, to be completely honest. I don't really care to even think about it. But that was probably like 2 years at that point. Maybe a little less than 2 years, 1.5 years, maybe when it started. And even still, it was so gradual that I can't even tell you that there was a certain time when it started. But yeah, it's a hard time, and you have no idea, but it's worth going through. It's worth, air quotes for those of you listening. It feels worth going through it because of those extreme highs, the love bombing, all that. It seems like you're in like a Hallmark movie when it's you're at the top of the world, but it's not how it is. And until you're out, unfortunately, you can't really see it. You don't really know.
No, and it's hard. Getting out is one of the scariest parts.
Absolutely. I was terrified.
Yeah.
I was absolutely terrified. And I guess to fill you guys in, I was not the person that actually ended the relationship, which is actually pretty shocking looking back.
Yeah, honestly, that is the nicest thing that he did for you, was decide that he wanted to go sleep with women who were freshly 18 and who knows what other ages.
Well, and who knows how long he was doing it, so. But I lost my train of thought.
So gradual. Scariest part is getting out.
Yeah. So what I was going to say is he was the one that ended the relationship. I did not, and I was devastated. I didn't understand at the time. I remember I had just gotten off work, which was not as a paramedic, because, and we can get into this in a little bit, but he actually played with my mind so much. He got me to the point where I thought that I was like so dumb at my job that I was just going to go and kill someone. You know, like, I remember coming home one day after a really bad day. I think I had like 3 cardiac arrest calls, and one was like self-inflicted gunshot wound, and like it was just a really, really bad day. Like, I had a lot of death and a lot of despair that day, and dealing with a lot of family grief, which really taxes you. And I remember coming home and just being so upset and just wanting to like just, you know, express my emotions of just being like, I'm exhausted both physically and mentally, and I don't know if I can handle anything else. So the cherry on the top was, he looked me in the eye and said, the only reason that you're feeling this way is because you have no idea what you're doing, so you better quit your job before you kill someone. Mm-hmm. And when you have months and months of that, eventually I listened and I quit. And I went to go work at an animal shelter for a couple months. That still gets me like shaky mad. Like,
I think I had blocked that one because that anchor's coming back because bugger off. What did he know?
I also graduated medic school with a 4.0, by the way. Like, I was not a dumb person.
No. Of all the words I could use to describe you, dumb would literally never be on that list. Ever.
Yeah. But being told it every single day, I'm like, wow, I am really stupid. Wow, I'm terrible at this job. Yeah, so I came home from my job that I shouldn't have had, and was a lot less in pay, by the way. So that made me financially dependent on him quite a bit.
Yes, which is another big tactic, where if they can control the finances,
they trap you even more.
Yes, they do.
But yeah, so I was coming home from work, and I remember I had called him and just be like, hey, what are we doing tonight? He's like, oh, I'm thinking about leaving to go to someone else's house to hang out. I'm like, oh, okay, I thought you said that we were going to have dinner or something. He's like, I never said that, and then hung up. And then, so I come home, and I'm like, I have no idea what's going on. And he's outside waiting for me. So I pull up, get out of my car, and I'm like, hey, what's up? He's like, I'm done. I'm leaving. We need a break. I can't stand all your negativity.
That's rich.
Yeah. Apparently I was just nagging on him every 2 seconds, and I don't even know what else. I mentally just blocked it out. I have no idea, but somehow he made it feel like it was my fault for everything, and that he had no role in any of this. So it was all on me because I'm so negative that he had to leave me, because I'm just that horrible of a person.
Sure, Jan. Sure.
Yeah.
That was a meme, by the way. That's not their name, before anyone gets all hoity-toity.
No, not even close to.
No. Their name is Dipshit.
There, yep, that is very accurate.
Yeah, I know. I do remember you calling me and coming over to my college house at the time.
And I don't even remember that.
Yeah.
I honestly have no memory of this.
No, that one, you and I just ended up sitting on my bed for hours just trying to go through, because I remember you being so blindsided by it, and I was blindsided.
Oh yeah, there was no signs at all, not even any inkling.
No, it was just out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, like, that's okay. And so did he give you like what, a day or a week or to
Oh,
get out
yeah,
or something?
he didn't break up with me. He's like, we're going to be on a break
Oh,
over the weekend or something.
that's right, because it was on like a Thursday all this happened.
Yeah,
Mhm.
because I remember I called into work the next day because I'm like,
I can't go and help people adopt animals right now.
Yep. Yeah, I can't be happy right now. I'm sorry. I'm having a crisis. Bye. um, yeah, and so I had no idea what was happening or what was going on. I forgot about that because then it was a couple days later, and he had called me. He didn't even come back. He called me saying that he texted me saying that he was going to break up with me. Like, everything's over. We're done. And I remember texting him and being like, come back and say it to my face. I remember trying to call him. He just kept like blocking my number.
I remember that.
Yeah. And eventually, he did come back because obviously he has stuff there too. And this is where Ruby comes into play. So I remember, I think I had gone somewhere and come back and he was there. And he told me that he had taken a shower to try to calm down and ended up punching a hole in the wall in the shower, which that's pretty hard to do. I'm sorry. Like, it's really hard to do. So there's a lot of power behind that. And he said that it was all my fault that I made him do that. Because of how horrible of a person that I am. And if I wasn't so terrible, he would still be with me because he wants to still be with me. And then that started a fight. And I mean, fights were common with us. I mean, screaming matches all the time. Well, go between screaming matches and me just sitting and taking it, to be honest. But where Ruby comes into play, so my dog, I had her for maybe 3 weeks at this point, maybe 4, maybe a month. I had maybe had her for a month. And, she had never really been a fan of his. She would always sleep between us, but she would wedge herself in between our heads. And the only reason I know that that's not normal for her is because she doesn't do that with me and Mitch. If she's between us, she's at our feet. Mm-hmm. So much, much different. But so we were in a screaming match, and he had punched the wall next to my head, which wasn't the first time he had done that, but the first time around Ruby. Mm-hmm. And the only person and the only time that she has ever bitten and broken skin on someone was that time. Mm-hmm. And I'm okay with that.
Good girl.
Yeah.
Good girl, Ruby.
Yeah, she is not an aggressive dog.
She's not.
But, yeah. But that time, she was not playing around.
No.
No, she was not playing around. So.
No, good girl. No, it's... And again, you hearing all this stuff, and it's not the first time I've heard it, and obviously I've been there for part of it, and it's just so jarring in contradiction to the self that he presented.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, looking back. Well, and also, everyone that saw through it and didn't speak up, they didn't tell me. No one told me. Because after we broke up and it had been a while, everyone's like, oh, thank God I didn't like him anyways. And I was like, why? Oh, because XYZ. And I'm like, why didn't you say anything? Now, on the flip side, would I have believed? I don't know.
Yeah. And that's the other part where the control and isolation came in. He continued pushing those people out of your life. Because it wasn't their choices. From what you've shared, it wasn't their choice to not continue a relationship with you.
Correct.
It was, he was in your ear and just not liking the other person. Mm-hmm. And, oh, I love you, so I'm going to steer you the other way. Yeah.
I mean, it started out really gradual with that, too. It started, honestly, I remember the day it started. I was still in college up in North Dakota. Mm-hmm. And we were driving back together because he had come up to visit for whatever reason, and we were driving back together. And I think someone had called me, and he's like, "Oh, who's that? I've never heard you say their name before." So I was like, "Oh, this is so-and-so." And he's like, "Who else do you have in your phone that I don't know?" And I'm like, "Oh." So, like, he was driving, and I was going through my contacts, and he's like, "Yep, get rid of that one, get rid of that one, get rid of that one." And it, like, now talking about it, insane. But also, I was, 18 at the time? Maybe 19?
Yeah.
And I was, like, desperate to have someone. I had just gotten rejected from someone, too.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's a theme of my past. I get rejected by someone, and then I go, like, spiral off the rails and do something bad.
Oh, God. No. I mean, girl, you are so much better now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not blaming anything
This
that happened
is
on
years
you
later.
at all.
No. Yeah, I
Just
think...
talking about the spiraling part, because, I mean, honestly, I came up with a funny story with the story with the lesbian lovers, but...
Yes, which we will get to that one day, I promise.
But,
oh, gosh.
oh, no. I do remember there being that change because, as we had talked about in a previous episode, we had worked at an outdoor water park together, and Jess had been a lifeguard supervisor. And this should shock no one, but the majority of lifeguards were males.
Weird.
Weird. So you, as their boss, you had their contacts in your phone.
Yeah.
And you were on good terms with a large majority of them.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, the lifeguards always had, you know, their nights out, like, together. So, like, it was more than just, like, oh, you're my boss, so I'm going to text you that I'm late. It's like you knew everything about each other.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there was all these relationships that suddenly, now that I know what was going on, I look back, I realize, like, oh, I didn't hear about, you know, so-and-so or so-and-so and so-and-so for a while, where it's, like, the ones that I mainly think of, like, well, I can't say their name on this. The one he and his younger sister worked at. Yeah. It's a great guy. I know literally he would never do anything to harm you. Wonderful human being. I didn't hear as much about him either.
He was one, if we're on the one that's now a cop.
Yeah.
He was one that he left alone because he knew better. Mm-hmm. Because he was, like, at that time, he was almost at the same level as you. Like, I would talk to them daily, like,
yeah.
So he knew better than that one.
Yeah.
But I wasn't allowed to bring him up.
Yeah.
So I got used to not talking about people, because if I brought a male up, any male, could have been anyone, even, like, hanging out with my brothers was weird. Which, why is that an issue? But...
Well, because your brothers saw through quite a bit of the BS. Yep, so he stopped putting as much effort into keeping the facade up in front of them.
Yeah.
As much as putting that energy into isolating you from them.
Yeah. Yeah. If he saw a crack, he just added to it. For sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, any male that I brought up, literally anybody, could have been anybody, he would get so upset. So upset. That brings me to a little story time about my coworker.
Oh.
Who has said he would love to be on our podcast eventually one day, and I'm sure he will tell the story.
I hope so.
So you can get his perspective on it. But so, one of my favorite coworkers, like, as a paramedic, I don't know, the people that I loved working with, I can probably count on two hands. Like, that were my top, that I always wanted to pick up shifts with, like, would pick up overtime shifts with. And to do that in EMS, like, you
gotta love them.
Yeah, you have to love your partner because you're with them for 12 plus hours. So, but basically, I remember one day, we were just running our butts off. Like, we were getting it was call after call, go pick someone up, go to the hospital, and before you clear the hospital, you have another call waiting for you. So it was just one of those days where we were running and running. Well, we finally made it to a post, and it was a 16-hour shift, by the way. So we started at, let's see, if I was working with him, it was probably the 4 a.m. to 8 p.m. shift. opens
Oh dear
your
God.
eyes.
I'm opening the swollen eye just to have like full effect.
Which was my favorite 16, by the way. Just because you got to kind of chill. You had a chill morning usually, and then things would pick up at like 10 a.m.
Yeah.
So it was just, it was my favorite one. Not the ones that me and Mitch used to work together. That was 8 a.m. to midnight. That was the worst shift, but that was his favorite shift.
Of course.
And I hated it.
And now you're husband, wife.
Yeah. But anyways, so we were just getting our butts kicked all day, and we were so tired, and I remember we had finally made it to a base. We finally made it to the base, just pulled in the garage, and we got moved to a different base because a call went out, and then so when a call goes out, you have to reshuffle all your ambulances, basically. Especially for that day, because there was so many calls going out, there weren't many trucks to cover. And so we stopped, because I'm like, I have to pee so bad. Like, I'm about to pee my pants. I have to go pee. And not even thinking about it, I left my phone in the truck. Now you know this story.
I do. Yes, I remember this one. By the way, for anyone who hasn't picked up, truck is ambulance.
Yes. Sorry. Thank you.
I got you.
So I left my phone, and I like just sprinted in the bathroom, and my ex happened to call at that very moment, and so it was flipped up, so my partner saw that it was my ex and was like, oh, maybe something happened, because a normal person's brain would go, well, he knows she's working, so if he's gonna call, it's something probably happened. So he answers the phone, and he's like, hi, this is Blake. And I really honestly don't remember I just said his name. Well, he said he's fine with it because he's going to be on the podcast. He's like, hey, this is Blake. I think he got out, like, Jess is in the bathroom or something right now. And I don't know what his response was, to be completely honest. All I remember is not knowing anything, coming back to the truck so we can move, and Blake looks at me and he's like, hey, is your ex in a bad mood today? And I'm like, no. Why? And he's like, well, he is now, sorry. And I'm like, what?
Yeah. Oh, I do remember this one.
Yeah, and I remember if I was working with a male that day, because of course he had to see my phone and see who I was working with for proof, like, of who I'm with. Even, I mean, he did this when I was a student even, which I really wish that my preceptors would have said something, because both of them have told me now that they're like, oh yeah, he called you all the time to check in with you. Like, not in a good way. Because it was always like, where are you guys at? What are you guys doing? Like, where are you currently? Where are your partners currently? Or where are my preceptors currently? Like, and if I didn't, and being a paramedic, like, you get on a call, that call is going to last at least an hour typically. So there's no way that I could have answered my phone. Like,
yeah.
no.
Let me have you stop dying for 30 seconds so I can talk to my insecure dipshit of a current boyfriend, now ex.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so I remember it was like every certain amount of time. I don't remember if it was like every 2 hours, every 3 hours. He would call me to check in. Every day that I was working with a male partner.
Yeah.
Every day.
And by the way, a lot of your partners, they were males. Like,
it's a male dominant field.
It is.
And I mean, my favorite partners who you know the names of, like, they're all males.
Yeah.
They're all male. I think there's, a couple females in there.
Two
but
that I can think of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, not many males.
Yeah. Females. Not many females.
Not many females.
There you go. I'm like, wait.
Yeah. No, not many females in the field. It is starting to change, but not still a male dominant field for sure. Yeah. Oh, I remember there was a time when I was helping my friend from high school. We did our EMT together. In high school, by the way, our senior year, both of us took EMT. And I was helping him study for the paramedic national registry exam, which is an insane exam that I will never do again in my life. I will do all the continuing education hours. I ain't doing that again.
We just had that conversation.
We did. I am currently working on my research right now, and it's a lot of hours, but I will gladly do that because
so you don't have to do that exam.
Brutal. It was so brutal. But I remember I had told him specifically, we're going to Starbucks. This is the Starbucks we're going to. And I'm helping him study. Like, we're in a public place. This should not be an issue. And I remember he would call me every, 30 minutes. Because he was so worried about me being alone, air quotes, with this guy. We're in a public place. What's going to happen? And I also had my location on at that time, too. So, But also found out with the location thing. Remember the issue with, what are you calling him? DP?
Yes.
When DP worked briefly at the same place that we did because he couldn't get a job.
Oh my God. I think I had mentally blocked because he did not do well.
No, and I should have listened to you guys because there's no way he was there. You want to know what he probably did? So I got a phone call saying, DP didn't show up for work today, he's not here. I'm like, no, his location's been there all day, he's there. DP probably came in, put his phone in the bushes or something, and left.
Yeah. No, because I remember I personally checked the park. I walked, the dogs didn't hear it. I checked everywhere. Because again, to me, he had not a good reputation. Again, there would have been a couple of flags, but I'm like, well, I haven't heard anything from Jess. Everything seems okay. She seems happy.
We were also young, and when you're young, you're way too forgiving.
Way too forgiving. And now I look back and I'm like, oh God, 27-year-old me looks and goes, okay, that was a flag. You didn't know it was a flag. That was a flag. But that's a whole other episode of what we wish we could tell our younger selves.
Absolutely, yes.
That's a big one.
That one's coming.
That's a big one. But I checked the park everywhere. Because I'm like, there's no way that he would do this because this reflects negatively on Jess because she helps him get this job.
Yeah.
And this looks so bad because these are all people that you would have previous relationships with. Yeah. Relationship not meaning romantic.
Friendship,
business and
business
personal
relationships.
Yeah, because you had been working at the park for 4 years at that point?
Yeah.
4 or 5 summers. So obviously you had a good reputation and then this happens. But I do remember telling you I don't know what's going on. But you had been so insistent, no, his location was here. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah. But
what a jerk.
And how naive I was. You say something must be true.
Yeah. Well, and that's the hard thing when you're young. Especially when you are young and you've gone through circumstances that make you uncomfortable, feel a little vulnerable, maybe feel a little bit insecure, which I'm talking both as much about you as I am myself there, trust me.
Oh, yeah. I'm not denying any of this. I'm taking it all, yeah.
In those moments, when there are people with malicious intentions, whether they are fully aware of those malicious intentions or not.
Mm-hmm. No idea. Don't really care to know.
Yeah, no. They hook into you.
Yeah.
And because you have those cracks, like you mentioned earlier, it's so much easier for them to really get in there and work their way to where it becomes so impossible to exist without it. And it's you want to give yourself, of course, everyone who has been abused, give yourself grace.
Absolutely, yes.
It is not your fault. You are not the one who chose for that to happen. Mm-mm. Nothing you did warranted that.
No, absolutely not. No. So I'm just going through our notes because there was a lot that
Yeah.
We write outlines, and I was like, there is so much in this, and I know that I'm going to go tunnel vision on one thing and forget all these other things going on. I put down here, like, you know, there were so many times that I wanted to leave the relationship. There were so many times. I don't know why I didn't. I don't know why I didn't just pull the trigger. Some of them were early on, to be completely honest. I remember he came up for my parents have a trailer in a resort on a lake, and we had gone up for the day. And I remember us going into town, and I don't remember what exactly he did. I just remember he made like a scene in front of my sister-in-law, and I was like, what is your problem? Why are you saying this? Why are you acting this way? This is very immature. And I just remember being so pissed off. I had to go to a different store. It was like a strip mall, old-timey, small town vibes. So I went to the next one over. I'm like, just don't follow me. What happened to that, Jess? Because that was like a couple months in. What happened to that, Jess?
What happened is that they are phenomenal at digging into any insecurities, any vulnerabilities, and they latch into it.
Yeah.
And
I mean, I became so isolated that I was so like depressed and so anxious all the time. And he had taken away my entire support system that I had. I had an amazing support system before him. And I lost so many friendships because of him. Luckily, some people came back, and others, understandably so, didn't. And that's okay. No hard feelings if any of you guys are listening. Always happy to talk if you guys ever want to reach out. But so another thing about this that we haven't mentioned, me and DP were engaged.
yes. And also, before you get into that one, I just want to side note because you said something really good there.
Yeah, let's go on to
You had an amazing support network.
Yeah.
Have now, by the way. If anything,
yes, absolutely.
the one you have now is even more fierce because we're like, no repeats of the past. Hell no. Not that we're worried with her husband.
Well,
oh my
but, like,
God, no.
We have a relationship now where we're like, we see a red flag, we just say it right away. And we're like, hey, just got to throw it out there.
Yep. And it's no anger at the other ever.
No.
Not that we're ever angry at each
No.
other.
I don't think
No.
we've ever had a fight.
No.
Honestly.
Yeah, we're good that way. And by the way, that's not toxic. It's literally just because we have so much respect and understanding for ourselves and each other that we work it through. But again, hear this. We have a phenomenal relationship. I didn't know what was going on. She had an amazing support network. And despite all of this, it still happened. So there is not a type of person who is going to be a victim of abuse or anything. It's not. Don't put blinders on thinking that there's no way it's happening to somebody, because you can have all the amazing support in the world and bad things can still happen. So,
yeah. Also, listen to those little voices in your head. When they're saying, stop, get out, figure out a way to get out safely.
Safely, yes.
And leave. If I had tried to leave, which I know I threatened him quite a few times that I was going to break up. Not physical threat, literally just threatened that I was going to leave him. And it just caused a huge blow up every time. To the point where I got scared to leave.
Yeah.
So I didn't. Yeah. But like if I know for a fact, he didn't know where you lived at the time. He had no idea. He knew that you were somewhere down in the cities. That's about it. And I know for a fact, I could have literally called you up day or night, would have been, hey, this is what's going on. I need to get out. And you would have been, come on over. Just found out your roommate was like, yeah, we almost housed you over the summer. And I'm like, oh, didn't know about that. So she was all ready for me to come and move in.
I was like, no, we're going to adjust it. We're going to make this good.
Yeah. Which greatly appreciate.
Oh, yeah. Obviously. Like, anything with you again. And here it is, the good support network, which is amazing to have. If you don't go through an abusive situation, if you do whatever it is, have yourself a great support network.
Absolutely.
Where you can call someone and be like, hey, I'm sorry, it's 10:30 or it's 2 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
I need help, and have that person be able to be like, all right, I'm going to be there right now. Like,
Yeah.
what do you need? Do you need a truck? Do you need a body bag? Like, what do you need? I got you.
Yeah, like, you have the code to my back door, like,
yeah,
come on in if it's 2 a.m. and I don't answer my phone, just like...
You've got my garage code.
Exactly.
You know.
So, yeah, and we have those backups just in case, like... I don't want there to, you know, that one time that you need me at 2 a.m. Like, I sleep through my phone ringing or something. I want you to be able to have access to be like, come on in.
Same.
I'm here for you. And
Same.
yeah. So.
Yeah. Clarifying, we are not worried with either of our husbands right now. Oh my God, no.
No. We are very safe, very happy,
yes.
and very married.
Yes. Not to each other.
No.
Oh God. No, but that's a good circle point. You were saying that you and your ex were engaged.
We were engaged. And that was a big power move, I think. So I felt like I had to be in there. I had that commitment. But that brings me to this point here is we went dress shopping.
Yes, we did.
Do you remember dress shopping?
Girl, I could not forget dress shopping for a host of different reasons.
There were a few issues.
One or two. Which, side note, by the way, if you are going to be at a bridal shop with your toddler, that's fine. Don't give your toddler Cheetos and then allow them to run around with a bunch of white dresses.
Yeah. Doesn't quite add up.
No. I questioned that one. But that was part of dress shopping.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, because you had even asked him, like, you know, making sure before my mom and I put this financial commitment down on a dress, because it's a financial commitment, even on a good deal.
Those are spendy, and it was on a hella good deal.
It was still over $1,000.
Yeah. What did I ask him? Like 4 or 5 times? Maybe more than that even. That's just what I remember. I was like, are you sure about this? Are you sure you want to get married? Are you sure you're in this? And that, like, looking back, why didn't I leave? I had so many doubts.
Yeah.
Like,
no, I do remember I started getting a little suspicious at that point because you had told me, I keep asking him. And, like, I had heard you ask him over the phone because, of course, he would even call to check in when we were together. And I was like, this does seem a little bit odd that there's this much hesitation, especially if he took the initiative to propose.
Mm-hmm. And I had found the dress, and I wasn't buying it. Yeah, it took me a long time to buy that dress. I was dragging my feet.
I want to say it was like 6 weeks later or something.
Yeah.
Because it was at the tail end of the sale, which I think is why you guys ended up buying it.
Yeah,
because it was like end of season push out stuff.
Yeah, I think my mom was like, it's going to be gone after blah, 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 so I'm going to get it. And I'm like, I don't have a good enough reason to say no.
Yeah.
I do remember that in my mind. I'm like, I don't have a reason to not get it right now. From what he's telling me, I don't have a reason. And, so bought the dress, and I just remember being like, oh crap, what did I do? I was so full of dread. I had so much anxiety going through me. And we had like a tentative date. Like, we had done no planning whatsoever. Another reason why I had gotten that dress when I did was because we were getting so close on the time that if I had waited any longer, we wouldn't have been able to get it tailored or fitted or any alterations done whatsoever. And so I was like, well, I really can't say no, because then people are going to start questioning what's going on. And yeah. Listen to the inner voice.
It really,
Really do.
no, because it's when you're wedding dress shopping, you're going to have a million different things going through your brain.
I just didn't want to be there.
And that is not one of the things that should be going through your brain if it's a truly happy relationship, if it's a marriage that you want. Because as overwhelmed as I was, you know I was. And even on the first dress try when I'm fighting a migraine that came on literally as we're driving down, like there wasn't any point in my brain where I was like, oh, why am I doing this? I don't know if this is a good idea.
Yeah.
No, the only question I had was, I'm feeling lightheaded. Should I really be in a long, heavy dress standing up on a pillar? Probably not, but I'm going to do it anyway because it's sparkly.
Yeah, you pushed through.
We pushed through.
Yeah. No, totally different tones when we went for you and when we went for me.
Yeah.
Totally different. By the way, when I did get married a little over a year ago, I did not go dress shopping at all. I bought my dress online, so skip that whole thing.
Yep.
So when I say my dress shopping experience was horrible, it's because I'm talking about the ex relationship, not the current one.
No, that one was good. That was go online. You found your dress. Beautiful dress, by the way.
So amazing. It was a huge risk, but also I was like, why not? It's a lot cheaper. It was, I don't remember exactly how much it was, but everything, the dress and the alterations were $90, I think. So I guess the dress had to have been like just under $200.
I think it was like $150.
Yeah. So altogether, I spent less than $300 on my dress.
And the thing is, if you saw the pictures, the dress that she wore, beautiful. And also, I tried on pretty much the same dress. It was over $1,000 more. Like, exact same dress. Exact same dress. I think there was one minuscule, tiny little detail differently.
The back was slightly different.
Yeah.
That was it.
Mm-hmm.
Mine had an extra
stash
thing in the back.
Yeah.
Yeah. And tell me what the difference is.
Yeah, you should not. Of course, I'm not bashing when I say this at all.
Oh, no, I don't
Not
take
at all.
offense. Honestly, I see that as a totally different person. Like, the old me was a totally different person.
You are a very different person.
Yeah,
I mean, of course, the essence of you is the same.
Yeah. Me at the core is still the same, but I come off a lot different. I'm a lot more confident than what I was. I'm not like this shy, anxious girl anymore.
Mm-hmm. I know. It's when you're going through a toxic relationship versus a healthy one, there is that huge difference of thinking, am I sure I want to do this? Is he sure that he wants this? Versus, oh my gosh, this is overwhelming, but it's exciting.
Yeah, we were very happy that whole time. For yours, not for mine. For yours, it was, we walked in, we were all so excited. You were just in a slightly bad mood because you had a migraine, which I think is understandable.
It wasn't even a bad mood. It was more like, I'm so nauseous.
Yeah, I remember. I remember. This is why I thought that your cousin hated me so much, was because I was focused on your health and not the dresses, and she's like, "I got this one, and I'm gonna do this and blah blah." And I'm like, I should be doing that. What am I doing? And I'm like trying to like watch your facial expressions to see if you're gonna pass out or something.
Yeah. You were medic. She was like, okay, you be medic. I got bridesmaid. Which was exactly what was needed.
Yep. Yeah.
Oh god.
But that's where that came from, if you ever wondered.
Yeah, you're good. But see, like, and also if you're listening to this podcast and you've gone through an abusive relationship, or if you're starting to put together a couple of puzzle pieces, I wish you the best of luck. There is help. There are so many resources out there.
There are a lot of resources.
There are amazing ones. And also just know that look at or listen to what this is right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there is life on the other side, and
Absolutely.
It is wonderful.
Yeah. Once you get past it, and it's like any other relationship, you have to grieve it. And once you're done with that grieving process, life is so much better.
It is.
And I will say, one of the biggest and hardest things for me to overcome after this was being in a healthy relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Because I went from the extreme highs and the extreme lows to a person that is nice and evened out. And for me, that was so weird. And I like to use air quotes around our arguments because if you've ever met my husband, you will know one of his biggest characteristics is he is calm.
He is always calm.
Yeah, he brings the calm to everything, which is another reason why I think we've worked so well together because I'm more of an anxious person and he just helps me calm back down. But I remember in the beginning, I'm like, this is weird. We're having a disagreement and you're not screaming at me. Or on the flip side, like, there aren't the extreme love bombing, like, which is kind of weird thing to wrap your head around when you're used to that. You're like, well, where is it? That's not what a healthy relationship is.
Mm-mm.
Not even a little bit.
Mm-mm. That being said, there can be love bombing moments, of course.
Oh, absolutely.
Of course,
yeah,
you shouldn't have
yeah.
them. Never.
Yeah, no, that's
But,
not
like,
what I was
no,
saying.
I didn't
yeah.
think you were. Just like for clarifying for someone
Yeah.
listening, like there needs to be a healthy balance. And so, like one of the things you had told me when we've had this conversation before,
Oh yeah.
was that because it was so level, it was so peaceful, you couldn't grasp if it was good or bad.
Yeah.
You're like, is he mad? And he'd be like, no, I'm just sitting here, or I'm just something.
Mm-hmm.
But like peaceful calm didn't exist for you
Yeah.
in a past relationship because if it was quiet, it was because of a control or a manipulation tactic.
Yeah. Like, even still to this day, which, bless my husband, he has put up with a lot of my little issues from that. A big trigger for me is video games. And I know you know. But if he is just literally sitting by himself, literally doing nothing but just sitting on a computer playing video games or on Xbox or whatever, I just start panicking. I just have this reaction where I panic. I'm like, is everything okay? What's wrong? Like, I feel like, the shoe's about to drop and something's going to happen. Even though he's never given me any reason that he will ever, which can't ever see that happening. But, like,
No.
not even...
No, he is so mellow.
He is so mellow. And I'm just here, like, waiting for the shoe to drop. But I know there's nothing. But also, the other side of me is like, something has to be wrong. It can't just be, like, us sitting in silence and everything's okay. There has to be something.
Mm-hmm. No, and that is a hard one. Because for him, he likes to unwind with video games. Oof, English. Mm-hmm. My husband does the same. Mm-hmm. My husband is much louder about his video game. It's like he's very, very loud with those, which is why I try not to have us here while he's doing that. Mm-hmm. But like, you just having a partner who engages in something that had a relation to a bad situation in the past. There's probably a better way to say that sentence, but it's really difficult because, you don't want to stop your partner from engaging in something that is they're calmed down, they're relaxing. But on the other hand, your partner can also acknowledge, which Mitch has done a really good job of that was your ex. That was that situation. That is not what this is. Mm-hmm. I'm giving you the affirmation that everything is okay and that I love you. I'm doing this right now as a wind down thing. Later we can do XYZ or something. Which obviously Mitch says it better than that.
Well, sometimes not, but that's okay.
I'm a girl. But like having that partner when you come out of a relationship that is understanding. Mm-hmm. And even if they can't fully understand the situation, they can at least be willing to work with you. Yeah,
like Mitch knows very little specifics. I don't think I've ever gone into specifics with him at all. I just like let him know the very briefest of brief things because it's not something that I like to talk about that often. I mean, obviously we're doing a deep dive on it right now, but this is different.
Well, this is a point to, if someone else can hear this and get out of the situation.
Yeah.
That's not the conversation for you. It's the conversation for them.
Yeah. I guess it's more of, I don't want to have that conversation in detail with my partner.
Yeah.
And, you know, I know that he's probably heard many stories from our coworkers because we worked together. He was an EMT, I was a paramedic, kind of how we met, but we are going to have a whole episode on how we met our husbands and everything. So I know he's heard a lot more than what I've told him. But he's been so, you know, kind and sweet through this whole thing. And, you know, sometimes there are little things that I don't think that I'll have triggers to. And all of a sudden I just have this reaction of, oh crap, something like there's going to be a fist near my head pretty soon. Like, but there never will be, you know, not with him.
No.
But it just, there's like certain words that will just like bring me back to, oh, something's really off. Something's really bad. There's about to be a screaming match. There's about to be blah, blah, blah. So, you know, this is years later too.
Mm-hmm.
I was in this relationship from 18 to 21?
About that, I think.
20?
21-ish.
Yeah. Young relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Would I be in that situation now? No, probably not, because I don't put up with that crap now.
No, you do not.
No.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No.
No, I definitely don't.
No. But I mean, it was a relationship at formative years.
Mm-hmm.
And any relationship, you are opening yourself up to be vulnerable to your partner, whether you are 18 or 38, whatever the age is. That's allowing yourself to be the most vulnerable version of yourself with another human being, which is scary.
Yeah.
And you are giving the other person opportunities to, well, control. A healthy partner does not.
No.
A abusive one does.
I do want to throw this in. Wasn't in the notes or anything. That just reminded me. I had similar-ish incidents at work where the first time it had happened, obviously I was with DP. And I had a really traumatic call a couple weeks prior. And I had gone into work that day. Again, this is the first time with when I was with DP. I got into work and I remember just walking in and I had my truck or ambulance assignment. I went to the ambulance and I just had a complete mental breakdown. I couldn't think. I just kept freaking out, having panic attacks. And one of the, basically like we have people that restock the trucks and assign them, clean them. She came over and she's like, you need to go talk to the soup. You need to go to the supervisor.
Yeah. I got you.
Yeah. Who, oddly enough, he's always there the most terrible days.
He was.
He's a black cloud because he was there the second time it happened. But he is amazing. So I went to his office and I was just having a complete mental breakdown. And I remember he's like, we need to get your support system up. And like, who can I call? And I'm like, please don't call anyone. He's like, well, I can't let you drive. And I'm like, just give me some time to calm down. I can drive. And he's like, don't you have a fiance? I'm going to call him. And I'm like, please, for the love of God, please don't call him. Well, since he was my emergency contact and I was obviously not okay.
Yeah.
He called him. And so when my soup and who wasn't my direct supervisor, but with EMS, there's a supervisor on duty. So he was the soup on duty. Mm-hmm. So he had, just in case anyone who knows me was listening, not my direct supervisor. And so he had called my ex, explained everything that was going on, and said that you should come pick her up because she's not safe to drive herself. His response was, She's fine. She's just overreacting like she always does.
For those who don't know Jess very well, which I'm assuming is most of the listeners, Jess is incredibly rational and level-headed. I would never consider you an overreactor. I react more than you do.
Years of practice in EMS, you have to have a strong poker face.
Yeah, which also tells you that in that moment, freaking DP would have known that if you are having a breakdown, it is because it is bad, which we will do another episode talking more about PTSD, more about job-related stuff, but just for the little background here, this was her coming back after a very, very, very traumatic call that actually brought about other changes later with your career. But this was not a small, like, she's crying and she needs a minute. This was, if you're the fiance or the emergency contact, you go and you pick her up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then, so, flip side, the second time it happened, even more traumatic call. I still have issues with this call. You know, I've made my peace with it, but still have flashes occasionally. Sometimes I have nightmares about it. It's just part of the norm. Again, we're going to get more in depth when we go into PTSD stuff. But Mitch and I had just started dating. He was also working that day. We were on different shifts. I was working up north and he was in the metro. And I was with a partner I loved. I was on an overnight. He was on his 08 to midnight shift and his partner was awesome too. Love his partner. But Mitch has told me when he heard the call go out, because they did not, whoever the dispatchers are, I'm not blaming you, but when they sent the call out, like they do a call tone, and then they say your truck number, so 620, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Depending on what area you're in, your truck has a specific unit number. And so they say 620, which obviously was not the truck I was in that day. You have a call at this location, and this is the chief complaint. Well, whoever the dispatcher was probably in shock by what came across the screen and said the age and what it was. And then so everyone was like, oh crap, goes and looks at the call notes and looks at the crew, who the crew was. Well, Mitch was in the back of his truck transporting a patient, which Mitch was in the back. He was an EMT, so it's basic life support versus a paramedic is advanced life support. So if they need monitoring medications, we will take them. If they're like a psychiatric patient, or sometimes people have labs that are off and don't have a ride to the hospital, so we bring them. So a patient like that, and he heard the call go out, and he turned his chair around and asked his partner, what was the truck number? And he said that it was mine. And he's like, is that the one Jess is on? He's like, uh-huh. And not long, like after they had dropped their patient off, he had texted me before I had even made it to, they must have been at the hospital or something, before I even made it on scene. I was in more of a rural area, by the way, so it took a lot longer to get there. This is a huge ambulance service that has rural and very metro area, suburb area, and so it took us a lot longer to get there. But before I even got there, Mitch had texted me, I'm always here to talk, even, after the call. If you want to talk, that's fine. Once you get off shift, if you want to talk, that's fine. Give me a call. I had already had so much more support from him. And I hadn't even gone to the call. I hadn't even gotten to that call yet. And, the next 2 weeks, the supervisor that was on that night was like, are there any partners that aren't great in the next couple weeks for you? Because I want you to be with good partners for the next, because something might happen. When you're in traumatic situations, it doesn't sink in right away. It takes time to like I knew what had happened. I was upset by it, but it hadn't hit me. Well, it hit me 2 weeks later when I went to my next big my first cardiac arrest post this call. And I remember just like, I just started having flashes of the previous call. And I couldn't get the flashes to stop. I was freaking out. My partner had, I basically put myself in the back of the ambulance and was just having a freak out. And my partner called the soup, which happened to be the same soup from years prior. And he's like, all right, you're out of service, come back. The moment I stepped into his office, he's like, Jess, we are doing things differently this time. We are not doing things the same. Who am I calling for you? And who is coming to get you? And I, told him, Mitch. No hesitation. Mitch was like, okay, I'm going to come get her. Granted, he probably knew it was coming. I was starting to get more and more fragile, and I worked with him the day before, and I had just gotten, at the time, our agency was small enough that whenever you went on a cardiac arrest and worked it, they gave you feedback on it. So our monitors, you can download the information from the call. So chest compression ratio, how often you breathe for them, all the things are in there. And I had gotten that with him. Remember exactly where we were sitting. He was taking a nap in the truck because if you have time, you have time. And we were on a 16, so
hour shift, 16-hour shift.
So you nap if you can, when you can, where you can. And I was looking through it, and I was still doing okay. It hadn't hit me at that point, and I was just really upset about it. And he's like, he woke up. He swears, he's like, I must have sensed your anxiousness and I woke up. And he just told me to not look at it. He's like, you can save the email, look at it another time when you're ready, but you are not ready to look at this. And then the next day, trigger call. And he came without hesitation. I remember I had to fight the supervisor to be like, one of our end of shift tasks is to put our narcotics away. So we check out narcotics every day and put them away. And I basically had to beg him to let me go and check them out. I remember tears streaming down my face. I'm like, this is the one thing that I have to do. And then he, we went back and just decompressed and figured things out. But even the day when I got off my shift from the original call, he had just gotten off of a 16 himself. I got off at 6 a.m. He got off at midnight. And he came to where I was living. He came, which was about a half hour drive. He came and stayed with me, so I wouldn't be alone.
Versus a couple-minute drive.
Yeah. Such a difference. Yep. Such a difference. And that just shows you, what a good person really is.
Mm-hmm.
And what you should be looking for. And, just being a decent human being.
Being a good partner.
All right. Well, I guess we've had a lot of kind of stressful talk.
Yeah, no, definitely a heavier episode. But this is obviously a very important topic and near and dear to both of us.
Yeah.
So just know that if you are out there in a situation where you don't know if you are 100% safe, or you're not safe, or you just have questions, please go online. There's a lot of amazing resources, a lot of shelters for both men and women, because abusers are not gender specific. Mm-hmm. They can be anyone.
Yep.
So please, please, please reach out, find someone you trust, take those resources online, and just know that it will be hard getting out, but everything is so much better afterwards.
It is. It truly is. And you can definitely be happy. It may feel like your entire world is ending, but you'll get through it and be so much better for it. But to kind of end this episode on a more fun note, I guess, I'm going to add a short little mystery story in here for us, a historical mystery story. So have you ever heard of the dancing plague of 1518?
A little, but I don't know a lot about it, other than the fact that they were getting jiggy with it and they died.
I mean, that basically sums it up. So in July of 1518, there was a French town, which I don't know if I can pronounce it, Strasbourg.
Sounds right to me.
They basically had this bizarre event that's known as the dancing plague. So, little synopsis of what was going on prior to this. This town was going through lots of periods of flooding, and then bitter cold and extreme heat, which obviously doesn't do well for crops. So not as much food going on, more, dehydrated, heat exhaustion, etc. So in July, a woman called, and again, I'm going to butcher this really bad, Frau Tafia came to the square of Strasbourg, and she just randomly started to dance. People were watching her and were very curious, as it wasn't a normal thing. And she ended up dancing for basically a week straight. And she only occasionally stopped due to the heat exhaustion taking over, or just exhaustion taking over. But she mostly just kept dancing and wasn't even stopping due to her body warning her, hey, you should probably stop. There wasn't any embarrassment, hunger pains, anything like that. Also, there wasn't any music going on.
So she just dancing.
Yeah, just dancing. Eventually she was taken away, but it wasn't actually clear if she survived or not. So, no idea what happened to her. There's nothing with that. Before she was taken away, though, some people had joined in with the dancing, and by August there was hundreds of people that joined in the dancing in this little square.
Just like voluntarily dancing, or like
people thought that they were possessed.
Oh, possession. That's a good one. Classic.
And those that joined couldn't explain why they joined. They couldn't give an explanation as to why I'm dancing. I'm just dancing, and they felt like they were compelled to dance.
Oh God, don't let this happen with TikTok trends. My hips don't pop like that. I can't pop like a 16-year-old. I'm gonna die.
So some people even say that at one point they had even authorities, I don't know who authorities are, probably like mayor or whatever, decided that they would cater to them by bringing in music, hiring dancers, trying to get people to come and dance with them, and then the dancers leave and bring them with. But even when they stopped the music or stopped dancing, they still continued to dance. Nothing stopped them. And sometimes they even, there was one person that was saying that they also responded by carting them off to literally, like, I'm picturing like a wheelbarrow.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm just like, there we go.
So they would cart them off to, I'm gonna butcher this too, St. Virtue's Shrine. It's a place outside of the city, and they were given small crosses and red shoes because they thought that they were possessed. Red shoes has to do with something religious. I just don't.
Are we talking like legit shoes that are red, or like red hot shoes?
No, like legit shoes that are red.
So I feel like red shoes was a torture method at some point in history. I vaguely remember hearing about that.
Oh, jeez. Well, I don't think it's that. But yeah.
So they just kept dancing.
They
Okay,
kept
so
dancing.
they got taken to the place that I won't be able to pronounce either.
Yeah. Many dancers, as you said in the beginning, dance themselves to death. Eventually it stopped after a few months. And the potential reasoning of the phenomenon is, I mean, I would think like heat exhaustion, basically. But they say exhaustion, hunger, dehydration, and psychological factors, which sound reasonable to me.
So we just had no idea why they were dancing. They just...
Mm-mm.
All right.
I think I'm leaning towards possession.
I'm leaning towards possession or you said it was a bad year for crops.
It was a bad year for crops.
Wasn't a whole thing with the Salem witch trial? Didn't they have a bad year for crops that created a spore that made them hallucinate?
I don't know.
And then a couple of kids were little bitches too in that case. Salem. That could be a good episode.
That would be a good episode.
But yeah,
I
I'm
have
just
no idea.
wondering.
Huh.
But I am just imagining, no disrespect to those who died, but like with today, TikTok trends, that's a thing. People just like randomly dancing in public, which throws me off, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you just out there like popping, locking, dropping, and you're in the middle of Target. Like, there's a dude trying to buy milk. I don't, no hate.
No, absolutely not, but...
Don't get me wrong, if I'm eating good food, I'm dancing. You've seen it.
Yes.
It's a miracle I wasn't dancing at my wedding, which was probably because I wasn't eating because we were trying to talk to 150 people.
Mm-hmm. Which we did have a wedding episode, so if you want to go listen to that, feel free to go check it out.
Mm-hmm.
It's a pretty good episode.
Yeah. Well, honestly, this could... Girl, we could circle back on getting jiggy and dying. We could circle back to toxic relationship.
Yeah.
There's a lot. But again, seek help if you, want to get out, need help. Just seek help, please. It's out there.
Reach out to someone that you feel safe with.
Mm-hmm.
There is people out there, and there are people that, it's their job to help you. So.
Yeah. And mandated reporters, too.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But a little mystery, a little PSA for the general public, and otherwise, anything else you want to add here?
No, thank you for joining us for another episode of the Chaos Chronicles.
Navigating the randomness.
In addition to our podcast, we also do have a TikTok, which is at Chaos Chronicles Podcast. And we would love to hear from you. We would love to see you over there. We would also love to hear from you, get any comments, suggestions. So please reach out.
Yeah. Hopefully you enjoyed this episode. If you have any other topics any others if you've already suggested, if you have any topics that you'd like us to cover, leave them in the comments. We're pretty well open to having a conversation about anything because this is Navigating Random.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you so much, you guys. Once again, this is Jess. I'm Connie. Dogs are elsewhere.
And we will see you next time.
Bye.